Hello, everybody. This is Logan Cisco again from Extemp Central, bringing you the second edition of our Extemp Central Weekly News Wrap-Up. First things first, make sure you check out the new TOC Qual Board on the website. There are now over 200 extempers qualified to the Extemporaneous Speaking Tournament of Champions, and this week's Qual Board reflected not only the results of last week's Barkley Forum, but also the results that we received from the Cal State Fullerton Tournament, thanks to our friends out in California. And then last week's Schwann Speech Spectacular. And we'll have more updates hopefully next week for the TOC with the Mini Apple happening up in Apple Valley, Minnesota. And then, of course, the Pennsbury Falcon Invitational. So both of those tournaments going on this week, and we wish competitors the best of luck as they attend those events. Furthermore, check out the new national points race. Isabel Taft moves back into the top 15 after getting first place at her second national points race tournament of the year. Nathaniel Donahue notches another top 3 finish and extends his national points race lead to over 200 points over Nabil Zawale. But of course, there's still a lot of time left in the season, as I talked about last week. Now, as I also pointed out last week, this is an opportunity for extempers to send in any questions that you have over any type of policies that are happening in the event or procedures or just anything about Extemp in general. And we received a couple emails this week from some extempers in Texas, and they both asked the same questions because the TFA state tournament is only around the corner or a couple months away. And they want to know something about different topic areas that have been released for Extemp. And as many people may know, topic areas in Extemp are not really well defined. They're pretty broad. And the reason they have to be broad is to accommodate a large volume of questions that you're going to receive at the average tournament. The topic areas that were brought up here were twofold. The first was the judiciary and federalism, or federalism in the judiciary, and the second one involved American business. Now, when it comes to the first topic area of federalism and the judiciary, I think there's a couple things to keep in mind, because you may see this question even if you're not from Texas at NFL Nationals. This topic area can involve a couple different things. Number one, it could just speak to federalism. Second, you could have separate questions about the courts. Or three, you could have issues that involve both federalism and the judiciary. So this topic area can go in a variety of different ways. I think the couple issues that extempers should pay attention to here are as follows. The first is America's drug laws. This was huge back in the 2010 midterms when California was looking at legalizing marijuana, and the federal government, through the Department of Justice, told California in no uncertain terms that if they followed through with, I believe, Proposition 19 to do this, that the federal government would clamp down and still enforce federal drug laws. And there's a lot of overlap between state and federal drug laws, and the courts have really yet to weigh in on the constitutionality of some of these state measures in terms of this. So this might be a legal battle down the road. Of course, the healthcare reform debate is big on this topic area. You have states that are challenging the federal government's healthcare law. And of course, recently, as much as this past week, the federal judge, Vinson, in Florida, ruled that the individual mandate of the healthcare law was unconstitutional. And because it's not severable from any other part of the legislation, the entire legislation is unconstitutional. And states are having a problem right now with the federal government because of the expanded Medicaid rolls that will likely be unfunded later on by the federal government. So these are all issues surrounding the healthcare debate extemper is being made aware of. There's also a case pending before the Supreme Court right now on the Voting Rights Act, which of course in 1965 guaranteed the rights of minorities to vote in elections on the state and federal level. And in violation, of course, of the 15th Amendment that had been happening since Reconstruction. And there's a lot of arguments from southern states as well as 7 other states in which the Voting Rights Act, Section 5, whereby any changes states make to their voting laws have to be approved by the Department of Justice. They believe that those rules are becoming very obsolete, that they don't need to do anything with them anymore. And so this is a question the Supreme Court is going to reach and is applicable to this question. Furthermore, the federal government and states continue to clash on education. President Obama's Race to the Top program has been criticized by some educators as trying to create a standardized curriculum across all 50 American states. Also, that type of funding has produced education results in charter schools or pushes for charter schools. So there's a lot of things extemper should pay attention to, but those 3 prongs especially are important. And do not forget that there might just be general questions in terms of federal-state relations. Where do they go from here? Whether states' rights mean anything anymore, if the states' rights movement is back. And even Arizona, of course, with its actions on immigration, and furthermore, its move possibly towards birthright citizenship. So all told, it's a hotbed topic right now for federalism and the judiciary, and those are some things to pay attention to there. Furthermore, I think that it's important for extempers to look into how the American business category works, because this is definitely a topic that'll happen in NFL. Usually you have a topic area about the economy, and then you have one about American businesses. And American businesses is more of the microeconomic topic area that extempers may see. For example, instead of talking about general trends in the economy, you're talking about specific industries. So what's the steel industry doing? What's the auto industry doing? For example, Toyota's latest recall, another black eye for the company. How that's going to impact its bottom line. Steve Jobs and his future uncertain at Apple. How is that going to impact things? Questions about data retention and how Google tracks searches, what's privacy is there, what privacy is on Facebook. All of these are business issues. Of course, the pension liabilities of companies and how companies in the long run are going to use pension packages, whether they're going to use 401ks or whether they're going to use defined benefit contributions. It's up in the air as to what's going to happen with some of these American business policies. Even policies on outsourcing and trade can factor into this topic area. So all told, extempers, when they're looking at the American business, need to look at sectors of the economy, whether it be in the auto sector, the airline industry, these big industries that are part of American life. These are the things that you're going to have to give speeches on in the long run. I mean, even things about net neutrality, federal policy and regulation. How does that impact business with the cap and trade legislation or the environmental regulations of the EPA? So there's a lot of things that can go into this American business topic area, but your questions will likely be centered on microeconomic issues. So for our friends in Texas, we hope that that advice will help. Again, check back to the website next week. We're going to start rolling out the NFL Quals 11. We were going to do that this past week, but since districts are right now holding the debate qualifications instead of speech qualifications, we'll hold off for a while. But that will be coming to the website next week, as well as quizzes, questions, research and development, and other updates around the Extemp community. For right now, this is Logan Cisco, and this has been another Extemp Central Weekly News Wrap-Up.